Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cordant and we are back for some more Tyranny. We have now entered the Bastard's Wound. I have actually learned from recent comments that this is a DLC area. It's not part of the main game. I did not know that. Apparently some people like it, some people don't like it too much. But let's see what it has to offer. So we had spoken, I think, with Mel, right? Well, we spoke with somebody the first time we came here. Let's explore what else this place has to offer, and then we're gonna speak with their two leaders. Okay, so we have some... Ooh. We have some nice stuff to take here. Materials and stuff. Okay, that's very nice. These are just denizens. Yeah, they say nothing. Okay. Actually, oh god. I think I'm gonna be pausing the video on these loading screens, especially when coming back into the hub, because it takes a little bit long. I forgot to do this
see me coming.
to see if I could find any hidden items. Does not seem to be the case. Yeah, okay. Let's leave. And I'm back. Yeah, I will be pausing through those because those loading screens are a little bit long. You have returned. Yeah, this is the guy we talked to. Okay, let's just say goodbye.
Well, they have water. A little sunlight. A shame the neighbors are floating abominations.
Yeah, they do live with beastmen. Merchant Pelagina. A Fatebinder, gracious. Did you come for... you'll want to speak to Master Jaspos. He's northeast of here, in the forge. Alright, so we can only access the merchants after speaking with their main guys. I'm fairly certain this is going to be for some kind of a puzzle.
Won't happen.
We can't do anything with it yet, at least. Pam 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 pam. Horde. Wait. I don't know what this is, but they seem to be Scarlet Chorus. I just don't know their affiliation. Are they Shogunate? Are they Imperials? We don't know. We have some exquisite stuff here. Exquisite Iron Javelin, exquisite light armor gloves. These are the same we have. Yeah, they are. Okay. And this one... Dude, +9 armor pen is quite nice. Wait. How does it compare to the Entropy's Rend? Less DPS, more range, more recovery. But same armor pen though. I could swap it for the dagger, but I like the accuracy. Okay, we'll just store these for now. But a lot of good items here. Yep. Rostrom Link. This one speaks to us. A wary-looking man observes you through dark, sunken eyes, nodding faintly as you approach. Fatebinder, greetings to you. Though unkempt and draped in disheveled rags, he bows deeply in the style of Northern Tirsman nobility. You observe that his right arm is emaciated and frail, seemingly rooted in place. Rostrom Link, son of the late Rostrom Volus, I saw you in the Bastard City shortly after Turon's arrival. We've come a long way from then, haven't we? He chuckles mirthlessly at the memory. You'll want to speak with Wagstaff or Jaspos before you get too settled in. The former's down by the falls, latter is in this... Okay. So mainly people are just sending us to them. Yeah.
Negative, Fatebinder.
I'm just picking up items as I go. That's new.
Negative, Fatebinder.
Bro. Wait. Dude. It's better than Entropy's Rend except for the armor pen, but armor pen is very important. It's a nice dagger though. I'll put it here just to compare it a little bit. Because how do you compare with this? Ah, it's the same thing, but worse, because the other one has praying. Okay. Did I not learn this? Reaching grasp too. Nice. I had forgotten about that. What is this? Oh. It's the same thing as over here. Yeah, we have a lot of items in this place. What do you do? Do I go to a different level?
Found something. Quiet down.
Psycho. A farm. Okay, let's first explore the base level before we go anywhere else. Otherwise, I'm gonna get way too much sidetracked.
I must stay downwind of our enemies.
Tell us, Sophia. Is she hanging? She's disfavored. A broad-shouldered woman in disfavored raiment dangles against a nearby column, suspended by her wrists. Though still guarding the iron breastplate of her unit, she is without helmet and appears unusually at ease in her compromised position. A nearby settler engages in friendly conversation with the disfavored. She peers down at him, listening with dutiful patience. The last lure hooked that trout just fine, but it took the whole thing downstream with it when the knot gave out. I wrapped the line several times, just like you said. You aren't fibbing me, are you, Sophia? Is he like in love with her or something? What stays your hand, Fatebinder? We must right this injustice immediately. Need a hand? Looks like you have company. Talk later, Sophia. The settler turns to you wearing an uncertain smile. Good hunting then. As the settler turns away, the bound soldier takes note of your approach. Tell us, Sophia, to find you in this cesspool of trespassers. He shakes his head. Worry not, we shall release you from this bondage at once. Wait, who the... Barik? Is that you? No, please, leave me be. I am sworn by to slay these fools and sworn by honor to see to their safety. It is easier to have no choice in the matter. Ah, you'd rather stay up there? Even if you set me free, I'm too hungry to fight. It's the only thing I'd have the mind to do. The time will come when I can free myself, and I will grab the opportunity with both hands. She clenches her pale fingers into fists. I'd salute an officer of the court, but I'm somewhat indisposed at the moment. How did you end up in that column? A few span back, after Cairn was finally declared rogue, the general wanted folks looking for what made Cairn lose his sanity, or his loyalty depending on your outlook. My unit played escort for a team of earthshakers as they retracted Cairn's journey through the tears. We were headed to the gates of judgment and came across a crevice which happened to be, well, she gestures upward with her head. A middle-aged woman walks by while clutching a woven basket, giving Telesophia a wave. The disfavored soldier nods in return. Good day, Osio. She watches a passing settler before returning her attention to you. You seem to be in good terms with the locals. They're rather lovely folk, despite all of them being Kairos-mocking scum deserving slow deaths. She attempts a limited expression of a shrug. Where was I? We paused to investigate, only to find this nest, this hive. Trespassers living with beasts as equals, all of it an abomination. There was no choice but to put them to the sword. We fought well, but our advance fell apart when that coward Argen threw up his arms and surrendered. He broke ranks and left us exposed. If I hadn't been knocked senseless, I would have executed him myself. Woke up, hoisted up on this wall, and I've been hid ever since. How are you still alive? Gravenash protects. The general's aegis can sustain us through far more trying circumstances. She maneuvers her shoulders in a dim approximation of a salute. My wrists are mangled and I've been tired and hungry for longer than I can remember, but I'm far from death's door. The settlers feed me just enough to keep going. She glances down at her dirt-encrusted armor. I'm sure I smell worse than a beastman dung heap, though. Why don't they just execute you? They have, in a sense, the Beast Woman leader of the local pack ordered I be strung up until dead. Guess she didn't understand Ash's ages, so who's laughing now? Nobody wants to anger the resident Bane hunters, so the beasts must have their way. I've had plenty of time to get acquainted with the locals while I perish. It's almost a pity they're all doomed under Kairos. I must be going. Okay. No quest, no nothing. Interesting. Another one of those things.
Forge-bound in the old walls. Seems a nerve-wracking place to work.
Oh. These are straight up better. Much better. Same. I'll do this. Okay. Just so many good items randomly. So there's a Forge-bound here. Like the Forge-bound enclave at Letzian's Crossing, it seems these craftsmen have hewn and set the stones of the old walls into an admirable hearth. Imbued Rod of Strength. It's just a staff, right? Yeah. Tonves. And outside, speak to the master. Okay. Heisley. Speak to the yeah, okay. Argen. Wait. Oh, this was the disfavored guy that betrayed her. Okay, so there we have one of their leaders. Let's see what else we can find before we go and talk to them. We can cross this, I think. Yo, people. Manta-born Beastwoman, West River Beastwoman. The heavy odors of musk and urine loiter around these matted straw nests, making their proximity to the sleeping tents to the west all the more surprising. Gloom of dawn. Tread carefully. A merchant. Yeah, speak with the big fish. Okay. Same here. A house. A house. Sorry. I think going into places is kind of quick. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I accidentally alt-tabbed.
See me coming.
Okay.
Won't happen.
If I want to rest, I have some supplies over there. I'll pause this. We're back. Oh. Another active portal. Oh, that's Bane. Okay. So yeah, they do protect the locals. I smell a quest here. Interesting.
They seem to have a plan for dealing with the Bane, provided only a few come through at a time.
Yep. Insipid moniker. Oh, hello. Ah, it's heavy armor. God damn it. Let's call frequently polished bronze blade. Okay, nothing to say. I've been here already. Okay. So we have one guy down here and one guy over there. Let's go for this one here then. No particular reason to go for this one. It's just because. Scarlet Chorus banner over there. Big save.
The Tidecaster has made himself at home in these flooded halls.
Right, he's a Tidecaster. Arranged at angles that recall the sigil of Gravelight, these crystals shimmer with the collected glow of what? Little radiance from Tarata's grave filters into these depths. I imagine Ebb would have something to say here. Probably. A bearded, weathered figure stands by the pool's edge, eyes closed in concentration. His face, uncharitably weathered from years of sun and wind, is a collection of deep intertwining creases wreathed by a brittle-looking grey mane. One disapproving eye snaps open as you approach. The old man stomps on the end of a staff, flipping it upward into his hands in an unexpected display of agility. He leans against it and looks at you through narrowed eyes, head bent upward at a disdainful angle. A fate binder. Well, this is going to be a shit day, isn't it? He mutters further to himself, unintelligibly, before speaking up again. Out with it then. I'm ready for whatever's going to spew out of your ballast hole. The hostility is unwarranted, I'm just here to talk. Ha! Just to talk. That remains to be seen. But who am I to question a fate binder? You should know that my hostility is rarely personal. Spew some bile when curious neighbors approach and they'll likely keep to themselves in the future. My recipe for harmonious relations. I assume someone pointed you towards me to speak for the settlement. If there are matters to discuss, then so be it. I may not like it, but I do lead these folk, or these people. Frankly, only because nobody else can. That stone-straddling fool Jaspos will talk himself into believing he's up to the task, but don't believe his bluster for a moment. Anyway, I'll just ask the question everyone's wondering. What are your intentions with us? For now, this settlement may continue to operate independently. This violates Kairos prohibitions and must be put to the sword. No. Such interpretation of Kairos' law justifies the existence of the wound must provide material support for the court. That would be a way, but... From your tone, safe to say you are knowingly in violation of Kairos' law, not that ignorance of the law is a worthy excuse. I actually like to... I want to go for this to see what he says. Yes, I think it's fair to say we all know of the law, and many have lived in fear of this day, when one such as ourselves decides to apply the laws of the topside to our little settlement. Okay, so I have questions for you first. Very well, what does the Fatebinder want with this old Tidecaster? What do you do here as one of these leaders? He shakes his head. I am the only true leader, as I've said before, but I won't belabor the point. He clears his throat. 3 years ago, I stumbled across these old walls and very quickly found I wasn't alone. A clutch of hungry and sick tearsmen had stumbled upon this enclave as well. I had come here to escape Kairos' forces, but I'm nothing if not driven by noblesse... Noblesse? Oblige? Give me a second. Noblesse. What do you mean? Noblesse. The title held by the strongest member of the noble race... wait, no, this is... Nobility of a foreign country. Okay. I decided I'd weigh anchor for a bit and help out. His staff dips into the pool at his feet, sending ripples across his surface. Water was both the problem and the solution. These refugees were surrounded by it, but couldn't drink it without picking up whatever old walls-induced disease lived within it. Withering rot, we call it. What's wrong with the water down here? The streams that run through these old walls have something foul about them. Some suggest the Bane do their business upstream and that taints the water. I suspect the problem is less scatological in origin, but likely mystical all the same. Whatever it is, it leads to fever, seizures, eventually death. I've been able to concoct a remedy, if administered in time, and I can mix this solution with water to make it drinkable. But untreated, the water here is a death sentence. And these people accepted your leadership willingly? Did I knock them around first? Is that what you're asking? No. They were survivors of some battle where Cairn brought a keep down on their heads and opened the route to this enclave in the process. They were starving, lost, terrified of the Bane. They came to me for help, since my magic could keep them safe. Times should have changed, folks begging a Tidecaster to save them and all. What happens to those with withering rot? You waste away in agonizing fashion, that's the short of it. The water here slakes thirst for a moment, those poisoned reported feeling dry no matter how they drank. They're pissing and shitting out more than they put in while being desperately thirsty all the time. Oh, give me a second, please. I have returned. Your skin shrivels and cracks, eventually you die, a pathetic, desiccated husk of a person. That's what I found when I first happened upon the wound. A lot of scared, dying folks that weren't long for this world. Nobody was going to right that ship except me, so I stayed, and they lived. To a Tidecaster, these are trivial matters. So long as I'm here, making a solution to purify the water is a simple matter. I make life here possible. It's a difficult burden, but I'm honored my talents are put to good use. Okay, what else do you want from me? Tell me about Tidecasters. We are the students of occulted Jade, Archon of Tides. She was one of the founding pioneers of Tears, and her school has been the longest running institution of learning in the peninsula. Don't listen to what the sages say. I think I'm gonna kinda skip through most of this. It doesn't seem to be very relevant. Jeez. Okay, so how do you purify the water? It's impossible to convey the intricacies, but suffice it to say what I must infuse water with grave light energy. This, combined with trace amounts of alcohol and beastman blood... What? Counteracts the mortifying effect of the old wall's water. I see that look in your eye. Worry not. The beastmen willingly gift these vital fluids when they can. That seems... messed up. A tiring process, but it produces clean and restorative water. Jaspos' product is an amateur imitation and will never sustain this place in the long run. That's why I've taken on Insipid moniker as my apprentice to safeguard this process. And unlike most, she knows just when to stay out of my way. What should I know about Jaspos? His eyes glaze over at the mention of his rival's name. Ugh, if only that rock pounder would just shut up. He loves the sound of his own voice. He grips the roping on his waist, squeezing it with a clenched fist. Unfortunately, he is forged on the upper level, so his what the hell is this? Soliloquies... Time for another academic pursuit. Soliloquies meaning... An act of speaking one's thoughts aloud when by oneself or regardless of any hearers, especially by a character in a play. Okay. To ensure my misery. This place has better acoustics than the Academy of Tides, lucky me. He thinks because he can cleanse the water, not as well as I do, mind you, that he can pontificate at all hours of the day. I nearly drowned myself once rather than listen to one of his tirades, you know. But I knew the moment my body was discovered, he'd be raining another righteous speech about cowardice down upon my corpse. That wouldn't do. Look, I'll say it plain. Jaspos has a big mouth and he talks incessantly about transforming bastards wounded into something great. But the truth is that he's just out for himself. He slams his stuff into the ground, mouth quivering as he speaks. I built this place from nothing, and he thinks he can come in and claim it when the hard work's already been done, not on my watch. I heard the beast woman here once held sway. He cocks an eyebrow. Ah, Reef Talon. Curious case, that one. She pawed her way into these caves a year ago with her cubs. A vicious fighter for certain. Bane of the Bane, I like to say. She took charge of the tribe, but had a curious way about her. The most fascinating beast I'd ever met. Oddly pensive, strangely polite, prone to bathing. Oh. Things really got unusual when, after a bloody dust-up with the Bane, Reef Talon healed some other members of the patrol with her touch. I can't say heal with a straight face. Those who had their wounds tended by Reef Talon felt spectacular for a few days, but by week's end, a whole host of new maladies overtook them. She was a mystic? She claimed she wasn't, and I've never known a beast to downplay her strengths. But as sure as water's wet, she could mend wounds with a mere touch. So she must have had some training. Having seen what her healing did, hindsight tells me why she would be hesitant to discuss her mystic training. So I think we learned the other day from the other guy that she's not necessarily dead, she's just missing. I'm gonna see if I can find her. What sort of problems happened to those who were healed? It started subtle, really. Folks treated by Reef Talon just slept a little less each night. At first, claiming they felt too hale and hearty to sit in bed. Later, they'd be exhausted from days spent waking, yet unable to sleep. The old typecast shifts his way to the sigh. And after days of being sleepless, other things would start to go. Tempers, memories, worst of all, a few who could work sigils lost the talent. Imagine spending an afternoon listening to Jaspos droning on about the virtues of pulverizing stone. You'd be frustrated and exhausted, somewhat murderous in intent, but for some reason you can't sleep. Night turns to day, which turns to night. We took to calling those affected the Sleepless and warned others of what became of those cured by Reef Talon. What happened to her? A few span back and patrolled as favored were in the mountains, searching areas struck by Karen's magic, so they said. Well, they stumbled on our refuge and being disfavored were shocked and appalled not just by our squatting in the old walls, but by the beastmen living with us. A few even deferred to Reef Talon during the parley, and seeing humans look to a beast woman was rather appalling to those iron thugs. The meeting quickly turned violent. Man leads beast, not the other way around. Such things should not require an explanation. We bested as favored, but Reef Talon fled during the altercation. I guess a combination of guilt from warping her fellows with magic, and the feeling of shame that her presence roused his favor to attack us. I have no proof, but I think Reef Talon fled to save us from her. There's plenty of folks who hate her, but I for one don't think her actions were ever malicious. Protecting this place is all she cares about, and she probably realized she had to go to save us all. Honorable. Regardless of her specific motivation, I'm certain she fled deeper into the old walls, not topside. Someone claims she dove into the water, another claims she accessed the teleporter. Either way, she hasn't been into the village since this favored arrival. If anyone can survive the depths of the old walls alone, it's Reef Talon. That said, she's been gone a while now, and I'm not sure I'd wager money on her survival to date. What happened to the Sleepless? When Reef Talon fled, almost all the Sleepless went with her. Whether they chased her out of anger or fear or of being deserted, I don't know. You might find a few here in the refuge, but most of them have taken their chances in the depths of the old walls. Isley, we've seen this person before, a woman whose life is already marred by the tragedy of wedlock to Jaspos, was the last person healed by Reef Talon. She is still cogent. Who knows how long that will last, poor woman. The Sleepless grow more attached from reason with each day spent waking. I half imagine most went to the old walls to find death at the talons of the Bane. If I lost the ability to rest, if my magic was taken from me, I'd probably do the same. Okay, that's all for now. Good. Okay, so a lot of information. Decide how to deal with the settlement. I'm prone to just letting them stay. They're not hurting anybody as far as I can tell. So, just leave them be. And let's go and speak with the other main guy, Jaspos, master of napping. Beast Cub. It's a unique area, I would say. Okay. A heavily muscled man, just says Jaspos, okay, stands next to a mixed pile of broken floor tiles and smashed boulders, head bent in focus, sledgehammer gripped tightly in both hands. Without breaking his gaze, he calmly extends an arm out as you approach, signaling for you to wait. In one smooth motion, he whirls the sledgehammer in a precise arc, effortlessly splitting a large green-gray boulder in two. He smiles and lets out a pleasant chuckle before turning to greet you. Ah, Fatebinder. That explains the ruckus. His voice is deep, a confident baritone that easily carries through the open air. Forgive my rudeness. Masters of the craft rarely break focus if we can help it. Hold habit. He smiles broadly, motioning you to come forward. Your arrival is unexpected, but my forge is always open to service of the court. I am Jaspos, master of napping, and this settlement is called the Bastard's Wound. I expect you're looking for its leader. No doubt someone pointed you in my direction. Okay. I know you know entering the old walls is illegal, so this little setup of yours is slightly against the law. Prohibited, legality displacement is determined by a Fatebinder. If you lead these people, then you must answer for any crimes committed by this settlement. I'll go with the first one. Then it is Fatebinder, but he's kinda on the defensive. For my part, I would never do anything to disrespect Kairos' law. He holds up his calloused hands in a differential pose. The wound isn't a normal settlement. Before Karen split these old walls asunder, I would have been in complete agreement. But with the sky visible above and rivers at our very feet, it would seem reasonable to assume we're no longer within the old walls, yes? There is another man here that unfortunately holds some sway. Wagstaff, a tidecaster. Possibly the last tidecaster from what I understand. He crosses his arms, his muscles tensing reflexively. He practically found this place years ago and, truth be told, he's the one responsible for its creation, legal or not. We don't always see eye to eye, but I did trust that his decision was respectful of the Overlord's will. A dull crash interrupts the exchange. A forge helper, hands still trembling, hastily attempts to gather up the pieces of the dropped bowl. Nearby, several onlookers have gathered to observe the meeting and whisper nervously among themselves. Forgive them, Fatebinder. They're understandably anxious. As you know, men and women live and die by your words. These people here, all of us in fact, are wondering what your intentions are for this settlement. So again, we have some questions first. I am sure there's much more you'd like to know about the wound. Ask away, anything you need. Okay, so what do you do here as one of the leaders? I don't look the part, I know. Most of my guild huddle by the heat of their forges and stick to themselves. Here, I think of my forge more as a hearth. Everyone is invited to share in its warmth. In a practiced motion, he unfastens a rag looped around his belt and wipes off trace amounts of sweat from his already spotless brow. Perhaps that's better? Obviously, I work the forge. In a place like this, that means everything. Those bridges you see, my handiwork. The knives and weapons everyone's carrying, they came from my forge. The nails holding our containers together and keeping our shelters upright, mine again. But most importantly, I created these stone sieves to clean the water. He pats one of the open stone receptacles, pride evident in his voice. First of its kind and none too soon. When I came here, many were sick with the withering rot. The disease is in the water. It's a terrible way to go, but these sieves change things. How do they work? Trade secrets, I'm afraid. He paused for dramatic effect. Except for members of the court. It's really a matter of using the right combination of enchanted stones, pulverizing charcoal, and a few precious stones in a precise arrangement. These materials act as the sieve in these containers. He points towards the base of one of them, drawing your attention to water dripping out of a small opening and into a collecting bowl. Ah, these here. Anything that comes out of those is free of disease. So filters, basically. Now this place isn't exactly bursting with precious stones, so I had to devise a substitute. Beastman's claws and teeth, when properly prepared, have the properties I need. Since they regrow over time, I've been able to collect donations from our many warriors. I do prefer using stone whenever possible, though. What does a Master of Napping do? Ah, and I shall tell you. He places a hand upon his belt and runs his fingers across the many hammers, chisels, and picks draped across his waist, stopping at a simple stone hammer. Masters of Napping focus on the fundamentals of all forge work. Before you can make bronze and iron, you need a hot fire in a controlled space. You need a stone forge. He grips his belt firmly, puffing out his chest slightly as he speaks. Give me a few days and I can take a pile of rocks and fashion proper stone hammers and tools. Give me a few weeks and I can use those tools to build a worthy forge. And with that forge, I can create anything you'd ever need. Stonework is the purest form of our craft. Civilization could be reduced to ashes and the Master of Napping would be the one to reforge it. Tell me about the Tidecaster Wagstaff. You should know that Wagstaff and I aren't on the best terms. He's old and set in his ways. I've tried, believe me. I've reached out, invited him to share my fire and talk like men, but he's the sort that prefers his own company and ideas. He doesn't seem to care about people the way I do. In fact, I think he views us as irritants one must endure. Well, this one is much more polite, I will say that much. And I do prefer him using water filters rather than Beastman blood. He sighs loudly, shaking his head with an exasperated smile. He does help the wound, I'll grant him that, cleansing water with his magic. His methods are different than mine, of course, far slower. He said the same thing. He thinks his contributions are more valuable since they can combat disease. A valuable tool for certain, but without the volume of water produced from my stone sieves, this settlement would die in a span. In the end, he just refused to accept that his role has changed. He helped the wound get its bearings years ago, but being the first does not make one qualified to lead. He hates that people have responded to me and has been blind by that. What do you know about Reef Talon? He holds a bowl of crushed rock aloft, squinting to examine its contents as he speaks. So you've heard. It's unfortunate what happened to her. Reef Talon arrived here after I did. Massive creature, one of the largest beasts I've ever seen. She never spoke of her past much, but we knew she was in flight and she stumbled upon the wound with her cubs. He pulls a fragment out of the bowl, running it slowly between his fingers. Whatever she fled from, it didn't stop her from devouring the Bane. She was good at it, good enough to lead the Beastmen, but Reef Talon had something else far more important. She could heal others with a mere touch. Didn't matter if you had been raked by the Bane or fell on your own sword, she could close up your wounds and send you on your way like nothing ever happened. That is no ordinary magic. How did she do this? I don't think she knew herself. She wasn't a student of her craft, not even using Beastman mystics as a standard. What I do here, that's not an accident. It's years of controlled study and meticulous perfection. Reef Talon simply acted on instinct, and that didn't work to anyone's benefit. With a dissatisfied shake of the head, he flicks the unwanted chip into the water. Sometimes we're better off without such miracles. Those Reef Talon healed slowly became sick. Okay, so we learned this much, right? So they went mad and blah blah. Even worse, yeah, we know that. And then she fled. Okay. How to deal with the Bane? In case you haven't noticed, the beastmen with us aren't your common feral savages. Something about this place focuses them. Whether they come as our workers or as their own, they all eventually become fixated on the Bane. I have seen some hunched over guarding our portals for hours. If any Bane come through, they'd savage them instantly. But apart from the Bane, our beastmen aren't violent. Strange, but welcome. He scratches his chin in thought. I have no explanation. We never asked the beastmen to act as our sentries. They took it on naturally and have never complained. We do lose some to injury, but so far their defense has worked. Okay. So for now I'll just say farewell, and if we want to decide like on a fate for the settlement, let's meet some other people first. They did not give me any quests. Ah, okay, so he doesn't tell me anything new. Find the farm. Oh, right, find the farm. I forgot about this. Okay, let's check out the farm then. Since we have a quest for it. And then I think I'm gonna go for deciding the fate. Because it feels like I need to do that before I can speak with the other merchants. And I'm gonna let them live as on their own. I'm not bothered by what they're doing here. Torrential water plummets down from the jagged openings in the old walls above, churned by their passage through the ancient tunnels. A cool mist brushes your face, smelling faintly of dust and decay. Do not drink the water. Greens, mushrooms, nash root. How long do they intend to be down here? It's a cool looking farm. Makes me want to play RimWorld again. Although I do want to try playing Dwarf Fortress. I know I go off topic sometimes, I'm sorry. Faint illumination from the sky above limns the jagged edges of the fractured old walls overhead. Far below you can make out the flickering dots of torchlight marking the wound community. Okay, so we have a bunch of named people here. Ocean's Fury, Lunette, Tycho, Claytos. Sounds like a Roman person. We picked up an exquisite... Oh, Chauncey! Chauncey and Mr... Oh? Oh, that's a secret! Chronicle of the Sages! This chronicle was hidden here by Sage Lexam. Ah, the old concealed text in the pile of pig shit trick. Classic! As Landry approaches the corner of the pen, a pile of hay and animal droppings vanishes, replaced by a stash of scrolls. Now here's a subject close to my heart. Histories of the School of Ink and Quill. Who doesn't love a little autochronicle? Roll calls, minutes, graduation announcements, publication dates, and letters. Oh my! I doubt Sages, Koran, and Ostrek had any idea that correspondences would be immortalized for the records. Not the most exciting bit of history, but I can see why Mel and Lexam would want the words of colleagues close at hand. Lantry thumbs through the tome, chuckling with a nostalgic smile at each turn of the page. I take it this brings back memories? Indeed! Some of these notes even have my name on them. Ah, yes, here's my series of bird anatomy. I did that back in 388? Where have the years gone? I know it's also worthless in hindsight, but it is a record of our school, whatever that's worth. I can obsess about these later. We've other things to do, right? Lantry closes the text and looks up at you with a smile. I'm suspicious of everything we find in this place. Take a closer look. How can I say no to that order? With a smug grin, the old sage dives into texts. I'm guessing my buffs just got removed, right? Several minutes pass, Lantry pours over the pages. Strange. All these names of dead people. Good riddance to some, others our loss. Kairos' loss. Anything seem incorrect? Sage Ostrek's grammar is appalling, but no, not really. Sorry, no spells or great recipes for grappa, just lectures, letters, and other sentimental detritus. That makes me sad. Anyone you know very well? In a way, all of them. The school was never crowded enough to disappear into anonymity, but as a field scholar of sorts, I was as distant as it gets. He shakes his head with a heavy sigh, lifting a quill from near his shoulder as he does. He puts the quill to his hand and scribbles several circles of sepia. Pick up one of the volumes and peruse? In this regard, Andrew is correct. Countless sheafs of parchment, all of it social correspondence and academic texts of plodding, boring detail. Oh, subterfuge. Look for writing out of place. You spot the page inked with a conspicuously glossy sheen, suggesting ink far fresher than the original writing. A minuscule crease along the binding hints at where this page was inserted, likely via magical means, to blend almost seamlessly. The text describes a debate between sages discussing the riddle of rings, and one sage with the familiar name of Lantry is arguing that the riddle of rings posits that Kairos has already conquered the tiers. Every village in every realm has its own local riddles, but you've heard of the riddle of the rings as a sort of proverb older mages tell the younger ones, though most forge-bound tell intentionally conflicting details of it to outsiders, so whatever meaning it has is a bit muddled. You've heard soldiers joke that the riddle of the rings is a saying about the oft-talked-about, but probably apocryphal forge-bound stuck with the duty of crafting rings all day. By common jest, the riddle is, how many rings does he make each span, and how many of those does he get to keep? Okay. For if the sages speak the language of Kairos, Lantry reasoned, and use the currency of Kairos, then military conquest is an extraneous formality. I somewhat agree with that. Is this describing a real event? It's, yes, but not exactly as I recall it, though. I have written a lot of ink on myself. It was 425 and Sage Cavil was giving a lecture series, having recently returned from his expedition to observe the Forge-bound and their ways. At one point, he discussed their teaching methods, so the riddle of rings came up as part of his lecture. At the time, I joked the real riddle of rings is, aren't we already conquered? And I launched into a not entirely sober diatribe about Kairos' inevitable invasion and dominion. According to this, I gave a stirring speech met with applause. Hardly. I was hit in the head with an old scroll case and told to sit down, shut up and let the scholars talk. Okay. Actual events vindicate your point of view, why downplay that fact? Even so, this is not how it happened. Okay. It seems worth asking if possibly the chronicle is correct and you are wrong. Or you could correct the record. I trust him, I guess. I could, and I'll make a note to return to this. Until I know why this was edited as such, I just assume not temper further. I think my nostalgia has been overtaxed for the time being. Let's get moving. I need to think on this a bit. He closed the tome, setting the old book in one of his satchels. Okay. Kind of peculiar, but okay.
Well, this isn't...
Light armor. It's just worse. Worse. It's much worse, goddamn.
Interesting.
Okay. Little looks appealing about these rubbery, dung-scented mushrooms, yet the settlers of the wound care for them as if they were the finest fruit. Maybe because they have no other option. Okay, let's start talking to people here. Shard, Nashroot, Shardlock, and tubers all flourish in this noisome soil despite growing deep within the old walls. Tycho. Okay, so they all seem to stalk their leaders, not really willing to speak for themselves here. She sniffs at me and then turns away. She doesn't know me. Okay, so let's... Wait.
I cannot.
Oh, okay, I've been here already. Never mind.
Negative fate by
Let's go and decide the fate of the settlement. and then see what changes. Now, I think the other chronicles went down, right? I think we were told that in the previous episode. I forgot to pause that. Thankfully, not that long of a loading screen. Nothing new. Okay, let's talk to this guy. Oh, we kept our buffs. Nice. Okay. Quick save. Okay. For now, this settlement may continue to operate independently. An enthusiastic smile erupts across his face. I'm glad you've come to see it that way. We've accomplished a great deal here so far, and I have plans for a great deal more. Bastard's Wound thanks you, Fatebinder. Excited whispers can be heard behind you as onlookers take in the news with visible relief. A few settlers quickly escape towards different corners of the settlement, spreading word to the anxious. The wound could be a great asset to you in the future, Fatebinder. We've managed well enough on our own, but someone of your prestige could really help us thrive. If you have the time, I have a method that could benefit from your expertise. Ah, now we have quests. Okay, no promises. We don't have the luxury of trading with the top side, it could attract the wrong kinds of attention. Instead, we craft what we need. In my case, I can make a wide variety of tools, but I can't make everything. When we were building the Forge of Legends Crossing, I had access to some of the finest chisels, tappers and abrasives. I carried only my travel kit with me when I found myself here in the wound. I've been able to craft a few replacements, but to my chagrin, I haven't recaptured the craftsmanship. The napping tools needed are rather specialized, and I lose sleep knowing I can't replace anything I break. Since I've been missing, I imagine my tools were appropriated by my colleague in Legends Crossing. Lohara will no doubt know of their whereabouts. With my old tools, I could really stay on top of the work that's needed to keep this place running. I will speak to her. I'm sure this will be a simple matter for you, Fatebinder. Thank you for your assistance. Okay.
No can do.
So we have a quest there. Let's now speak with the other guy. I think we currently only have one active portal that takes the farm. Wait. Quick save. Oh, I think as soon as you tell one your decision, you don't need to do anything for the other one. Oh, wait. Maybe if I tell that guy, I lock myself out of a quest with this one? Give me a second. Okay, I'm back. I loaded the game to when we came from the farm. And let's see what happens if I talk to this one instead of the other guy. So yeah, we have this option now. He raises an eyebrow, observing you with unmasked skepticism. Unexpected Fatebinder, perhaps your visit is worth the interruption. Making a life without someone breathing down my neck is all I've ever wanted. Thank you? He presently discusses with his halfway cordial offering and shakes his head violently to banish the feeling. With a satisfied nod, Wagstaff cups his hand and bellows. The court will extend mercy. Wagstaff's celebratory yell echoes to the makeshift village and is answered by distant cries of relief and sobs of joy. Thank you, Fatebinder. I knew the day would come that we'd be discovered, and I imagined a much bloodier scenario. In this regard, I'm happy to be made a fool. Life here in the wound isn't easy, and we always assumed outsiders will bring death, not help. Your leniency is the sort of surprise we need in these difficult times. And though I never would have guessed this, your arrival may be the sign of good things to come. I'm happy to be of service. If I may take a little for a second, let's say I was in need of someone who can come and go from this refuge and handle some matters from me. Would you be willing? Yeah. Okay, what do you have in mind? There's an old rival of mine still out there, a sage named Phoebe. Phoebe! Yes, she could bring a slew of homeless sages here, probably followed by a gaggle of spies. Not worth the risk. She needs to die. Okay. I'm gonna go with the other one, I think. Which was... Think this one might work. I forget if this is the one that I came from the farm or not. Sorry about loading. Yeah, it is, okay. So, I am still gonna go with the guy above. He seems to be the one with the more constructive view of things. So yeah, I will speak with Lohara and get your tools. Alright. So this means we are locked out of the quest, at least for now, I suppose, with Wagstaff. I don't know their rewards. I don't want to spoil the rewards for me right now, because I don't want to get influenced on which quest I pick because of the rewards. So I'll just go with this and call it a day. And do you guys now speak with me? You do. Riaan. Jaspos, okay. A man clad in the frayed remnants of his Earthshaker uniform focuses intently upon dark stones held in cupped hands. His eyes move from one piece to the next. He hears your footsteps and shifts his gaze to meet yours. Fatebinder, forgive me, I didn't see you. Jaspos has me performing these exercises to attune my senses to see the shapes hidden within the rock. Flustered, he quickly tugs on the hem of his shirt and straightens his belt. I may not be with this favorite anymore, but I still recognize the Fatebinder's authority. Is there something you need from me? How does an Earthshaker end up in the company of his motley? I'm the odd man out, I know. He motions to his purple-grey garments. After Cairn had been declared a criminal, Graven Ash charges with scouring the Archon's belongings and retracing his path. I was with the group headed to the Gates of Judgment. As we cut west across these mountains, we came upon this place. Of course, any association to Cairn didn't make me popular with the Legion. Tel Sophia was all too eager to remind me that if Cairn treachery were ever to come to light, all Earthshakers would likely be executed for assumed collusion. So you'll forgive me if, after stumbling upon Buster's wound and facing insurmountable odds in battle, I decide to surrender rather than join my hateful companions in death. Okay, and what do you think of this place? I find myself at home here, even if everything about the old wall seems antithetical to life. If the Bane don't kill you, the water will. Without Jaspos, this place couldn't exist. His eyes move from the churning water to the massive stone wall stretching towards the sky. The old walls have always been invigorating spaces for mages of my ilk. They're like untapped fonts of magical energy, and the ancient masonry, inspiring. What was life like to the people that shaped these massive walls? He shrugs, amused. You speak well of Jaspos. Jaspos is many things: teacher, husband, companion. Argin's gaze turns thoughtful. He is teaching me to connect with stone in a deeply personal way. Earthshakers manipulate rock, but we don't feel or shape them with the intimacy of the Forgebound. Okay. I'll talk to you later. Before I get stuck on a lot more dialogue, let me check out the merchants first, because hopefully those will not have a lot of dialogue. And I can just check out the items and stuff. Palagina! Greetings, Fatebinder. I think I speak for all the Forgebound when I thank you for your graciousness in regard to our little community. We don't normally barter our weapons and armor, but for a person such as yourself, I'll gladly make an exception. Did I lock myself out of the other merchants? From the other leader, I wonder. Would you care to browse our works, or was there something else I could help you with? Now, if I get locked from the other merchants, I am very much inclined to change my decision. Because I am much more spellcaster focused than I am martial character focused. So I'm starting to feel like this guy is for martial characters and the other guy is for casters. Let's see. Yeah, because what they have... Spire Infirmary thing. They have heavy armor, a tenderizer with praying, 0.5% bonus damage for every 1% missing health. This is very good. This is very good. Oh no! Wait. Who's missing health? This hammer is best handled during moments of desperation. I guess it's my health. When confusion and blood loss bring about a second wind of energy, allowing the wielder to swing to the... Yeah, okay. This would be much better if it were the enemy's HP, not my own. And Gore Thrust. It's a two-handed weapon. A javelin? Enraged on kill. Okay. Nothing too interesting. Ah, this is a symbol of Wagstaff. Okay. Fatebinder. The woman before the card treats you evenly. She wears her graying hair pulled back high over fouled leathers, her narrow eyes emphasizing the dirty creases above her cheeks. There's not a lot of trade in the wound and little of that in magical goods. If you need scribbles or mixtures gleaned from our forays into the old walls, I'm the one to ask. Okay, let's just see what you have on offer. Cerulean Scales. Okay. Oh, that's expensive. Plus 15% shock damage on hit. 15% shock on abilities and spells. Ah, man. Ball lightning with this? I mean, it's 15. It's not super much damage, but it's decent. A decent increase in damage. Exceptional sigil of precise action. I forget what this does. Accuracy. Okay. Lightning, okay. Is this the one I'm thinking about? Distant impact? Yes, it is. Okay. So, nothing very interesting on her. Yeah, these are kind of meh. Kind of meh items. I am now wondering though if his reward is a sigil.
No can do.
I might want to change my decision. I will investigate this after the video. Huh? Imperator's Old Walls Regalia. This is light armor. So I would lose armor and deflection. I would gain recovery. 20% more affliction duration. That's very good. This is very good. Immune to Sundered. Nude. Ah. Dude. I am not sure if losing all that armor and 10% deflection is worth 20% affliction duration, but it's really tempting. I will almost for sure buy these three and these as well. Remarkable Sigil of Strength. I don't have this. It's stupid expensive. I'll buy it just to see what it does. I have a save point. I have a save game anyway. Sigil of Strength 5. Ah, okay, it's just this but better. Eesh, that's a lot more. It costs 40 more lore. I guess for Lantry, some things we could even just do that. I also have this, which I could use if I want. Can't use this one though. Okay. Okay, so what else will we have here?
Negative, Fatebinder.
I think I have seen all of the merchants. I'm fairly certain. Okay, so you know what? I am... do you sell stuff? No. I am going to end the episode here. I will very likely decide to spoil myself, in fact, on the rewards for each of these leaders. Because if the reward is, in fact, some kind of new sigil or a new spell or whatever, I would definitely want that. And then come back and see if I want to purchase some stuff. But for time being, I didn't really see anything that would warrant me, you know, purchasing something that's really beneficial for my current state in the game. But yeah, that's it for now, my friends. As always, I want to thank you all for being here with me on the channel, watching some Tyranny. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Questions, suggestions, anything at all, leave a comment below. If you are enjoying the content, consider subscribing for more. Many more videos coming out soon. It is also a free and easy way to support the channel. I hope to see you all in the next episode, and until then, stay safe, everyone.